Yes, hello and welcome everyone. Thank you very much for tuning in. This is a special presentation that's going to provide you an overview and how-to for warm-ups for your social studies class in world cultures. Please listen carefully as we're going to cover the procedures and also the actual questions and content for warm-ups for the first cycle for the year. So the first thing I want to advise you to do while you're watching this presentation is to make sure that you have the correct items opened up on your computer. Please go to your proper class. So if you're in World Cultures Period 3 or Period 8, please do so and click on the Classwork tab. When you click on the Classwork tab, you're going to see different topics like I told you before. Please remember that for warm-ups, they're all going to be right here for the entire year. You're going to click on that particular tab for the cycle that we are on, which is cycle 1, and then you're going to open up the Google Doc here. And then while the presentation plays, you're basically going to type in the questions and also the answers for each day's question and answer content piece. Please realize that warm-ups are due every Sunday by midnight. So once again, the whole purpose of warm-ups is not to be busy work. It's really to harp on that day's content and really just give you the key takeaways there one more time in a way that makes sense. So what you're going to do as far as the procedure is concerned is while you're listening to the presentation, you're going to type in a different color font, the question for that particular day, and then also type in the answer. Please make sure that you also format your answers in a different color to make it easier for me to kind of grade and see what you have. For the most part, the questions and answers will be provided for you. Sometimes the question will be provided and the answers will be exclusively on you. So let's run through the first warm-up for the entire year, which happened from the first week of our soft opening for World Cultures. And then please be advised that on the bottom half of the doc here is for the first instructional week, which is what we are in right now after Labor Day. So let's go ahead and get started, and we should be good to go. All right, so for World Cultures, let's go ahead and look at this. What is World Cultures about as an academic study? And why is a class like this incredibly relevant and important today? Basically, this is a class that's designed to prepare students for active and global citizenship. Our goal is to not only teach you about the world and how it works, but also to have an objective lens on it so that we can look at modern contemporary issues and make them opportunities. We have to learn the cultural components of the world to define the fabric of human nature and the human way of life. In other words, looking at people's culture from around the world gives us a better idea of who people are collectively and also from an individualist perspective. Learning about the histories of distinct people in distinct places conveys the stories of their people over time. If you've ever stopped and wondered why Americans act a certain way, chances are that our cultural tendencies come from some bit of history in the way that we do things. Understanding how the world works is imperative, and learning how the world operates from a large perspective is so valuable. When you think about this one, it kind of makes sense. Understanding more about how the world functions will help us become more well-equipped citizens when we are, in fact, older. The world has a complicated web of relationships between cultures and countries. For example, what countries are our allies, what countries are our enemies. All those things are really important to consider, especially in a world cultures class. So learning how to fix problems of today can yield to better results and a better society for tomorrow. For example, understanding the dynamic between countries and some of the biggest issues facing the world as a whole and how we go about solving those issues will really help us to understand about how things will likely play out in the future. So that was the first question for the first week of school for the soft opening. Let's go ahead to Tuesday and Wednesday of the week after Labor Day. What are the different fields of social studies that exist, and how is social studies beneficial to helping us understand culture as a whole? Let's go ahead and look at this. So basically, when we talk about world cultures as a class, the class is basically broken down in the following few components. There's the historical part for sure, which is the objective study of past events to make connections about the present or the future. In other words, when we look at the past, making connections to today or the future will help us understand the likely course of human events. Anthropology is important too, which is the study of artifacts and primary sources of people and places. Anthropologists, for example, might study more than just fossils, but they might look at other actual sources that existed during the time to piece together the story of a culture of a specific people in a specific place. Geography is also really important for world cultures. The studying of physical and cultural land and people and phenomenon will help us make more real and rational understandings about how the world functions and operates. Additionally, psychology is really important too, which is the study of the brain or mental emotional sensations that come from it. Sociology is also as important too, which is the study of social groups and their behaviors on topics and certain issues. When you think about how the United States is divided today as a country and our ideologies, looking at the sociological makeup of ourselves as groups will help us understand how and why certain groups act a certain way, culturally speaking. And last but certainly not least, economics, which is the study of markets, exchanges, and trade between peoples and places. All of these elements define and depict a people's culture. And so social studies as a field of academia allows us the chance to look at people from a cultural perspective to understand how and why they act a certain way. Let's jump ahead to the last question of the day for Thursday and Friday. What are certain elements of culture that define and categorize demographics of a particular group of people? So let's go ahead and try to articulate some of the key things that might define and describe people's cultures prospectively. The first thing is origins. Where do people come from? Looking at the birth and histories of a group of people or the course of events allows us the chance to understand more about who they are and what they bring to the table as far as world cultures is concerned. Race, which refers to the ethnic makeup of a group of people. Also, we have philosophy, which refers to the thoughts, the beliefs, the morals, the values, and even at times religions of a specific group of people. Looking at all those dynamics lets us understand really what people believe and what they think about certain issues. Language. Language, of course, refers to the mode of communication between like-trait people, whether it's spoken, verbal, nonverbal, written. All those things help us define how we communicate with each other. Socioeconomic factors like the status of financial well-being, the types of jobs people work, how much are they making, what type of social class are they in. All those things define and describe culture too. Nationhood, which is the set of customs exclusive to a group of people, can also help us define and describe culture too. For example, when you think about the United States as a nation, many people would say that if you're an American, you have certain cultural traits and attributes that are exclusively yours. Think about what that label means. When someone says, oh, you're so American, what would that mean from an outsider's perspective? Our nationhood binds us together. So there you have it. That's all the content for the first cycle of warm-ups for world cultures. Please make sure that you submit these accordingly on Google Classroom by Sunday at midnight. And remember, all of these questions are fair game for a quiz or a test down the road. Thank you very much for watching.